what we're going to be doing right now is shooting into the first preview of something that I've been building for almost 20 years. This is a huge dream of mine, and I've been rehearsing what it would be like to release this first ever video ever since I was 22 years old, because this video is the first preview of my new self-help event, and this is going to be the event that I'm going to be doubling down and tripling down on for many years to come. I have attended countless personal development seminars. I have worked on this, researched it, and left no stone unturned for decades to prepare this. And what we're going to be doing right now is going into our first preview for what it is that you're going to learn. What you will understand as life goes on is that you're here to experience certain problems and to work through them. You can be a victim, or you can grow. You can be in protection or move into growth. And there's a lot of these very, very powerful paradigms that you can recognize in people and begin to recognize in yourself. And that, to me, is what self-development's about. It's about waking up and realizing what you're doing here, what this place is, who you are behind the thoughts, the social conditioning, the biological drives, the ego. What are you beyond that? What are you beyond? What's beyond that? And what are you doing here? What is all this? What conditioning has been placed upon you? What biological influences has been placed upon your thoughts? What is this little thing called an ego doing to you? And how can you move towards an authentic life? That, to me, is where self-development comes in and is one of the most powerful things that you can ever learn. I remember about 20 years ago, I was out meeting women, and I'm talking to a whole group of people. I'm talking, walking up to people, talking to everybody. And all of a sudden, it felt like my brain just completely lit on fire. And I could come up with endless things to say. I was funny. It all slowed down for me. The words were just at the tip of my tongue. It was crazy. For years and years and years, I couldn't dance with people. I couldn't talk with people. I couldn't read what they're thinking or doing. I struggled, I felt anxiety, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, bam! It was like I woke up for the first time in my life. And at that moment, I knew that I was hooked on the art of meeting people for the rest of my life. It was the first time that I felt like me. It was the first time that I felt my intellect switch on. I had been a failing student for most of my life, viewed as dumb, viewed as trash. And suddenly, it seemed like everybody loved me, everybody wanted to talk to me, I was smarter. It was like I'd taken the limitless pill or something like that. I was never interested in meeting women just so that I could have kinky experiences. That's fun. I don't think there's a person on the earth who doesn't enjoy that. But that was never my main goal. What it was that first night when I felt myself switch on and become who I was for the first night. What I realized at that time, I began to become suspicious of it, but I later fully understood, is that there's things going on in our society that are meant to hold us down, turn us into people that are really operating about 10% of our potential, and pretty much just a battery in the matrix. What do I mean by that? We have a consumer society. We want to sell consumer goods. We want society to be cohesive, to be stable, so that the people who are at the top of that pyramid can benefit. They may do this intentionally, it may be unintentional, I don't know, I'm not in a position to know. But what I do know is that on that very first day that I felt myself wake up, my first awakening, I knew that life was never gonna be the same, and that I had to keep going down that rabbit hole until I figured out what was at the bottom of it. Now, to be fair, I don't know exactly what's at the bottom of it now, but I know what's a lot further down it, and that's what we're here to preview today. So, going into this first preview, what we're going to be doing is just showing the themes. In fact, we're going to be doing a series of previews coming into this, and I'm not going to be showing the actual event. I'd like you to attend the event because the event is exercise-based. It's not really going to be so much about seminar. It would just be me showing different exercises, right? It's going to be transformational work. But what I want to do here in these upcoming previews is I want to show you the themes that we're going to be covering. And so for that reason, the theme of today's seminar, again, this is not a preview of the event itself. I'd love you to come and attend live with me at this event or live with my team. But what we're going to be showing here in these previews is the theme. And in this theme, what we're going to be talking about is your untapped potential. I guess what I'm saying here is never underestimate your own potential. Don't underestimate your own capacity. Don't underestimate the paradigms with which you could begin to grow and transform. You have so much untapped potential, it's unbelievable. And really, that's what I kind of view that as my job, to help you to excavate that untapped potential. That's the purpose of self-development. Let me ask you a question. Is this really who you are? Is this really the person you're meant to be? Are you really operating at your potential? Have you ever had moments like the ones that I described where you get a sense, even if it's just for a flash, that maybe there's some other level to you that you don't fully understand? Do you ever look at business owners and wonder, how is it that they make millions of dollars? Or you look at people that are happy and say, why can't I be one of those people that are happy? Maybe you see people that are operating on a different level energetically and they never seem to get sick or they don't seem to be run down. Maybe they even seem to gain energy from work. Their focus is crazy. And you just think, why can't I be like that? I've got news for you. In my view, I'm a believer. I believe in you, and I believe that you can. And it's that exact kind of half out of it, spaced out state that I was in for decades that for me was my personal nightmare. A nightmare that I couldn't wake up from. A nightmare that, funny enough, if I wasn't forced to go out and learn social skills, I never would have woken up from. I would have spent my life in a living hell of that nightmare, always wondering why there's the haves and the have-nots, and what it would take to close the gap between me and them. As opposed to now, coming into a situation of being one of the haves, but also going way beyond that, realizing that just having certain things is the least of what you want out of life. Because what's even more important is realizing your potential and living with authenticity. So what we're gonna do right now is go into a preview of the theme of realizing your potential, realizing that there's something that you're born with that you're not even aware of, and beginning to walk the path towards an authentic life. I'd love to see you at this new seminar that we have coming up. Enjoy this preview, let it marinate, and we've got a lot more to cover. Things like consumer culture, without realizing it, are a trance. Consumer culture, this need to look better and be cooler than the Joneses. It's an actual trance. And by the way, marketers will spend their whole lives trying to jam you into that trance to make you a great customer. And the reason why is because, okay, I'm gonna get a little bit sort of weird with you here. Who here, just put your hand up, I'm gonna be a little bit weird, just go with me even if you don't agree with it, take it as a thought experiment. Has anybody here ever studied a lot of, say, meditation or spiritual growth? Put your hand up if you've done a lot. Okay, so very cool, very cool. Okay, well, when you study spiritual growth, you'll have these things sometimes that are called, in spiritual growth, I think this is a little bit, here's my problem. I love spiritual growth. I hate the term spiritual growth. I love the study of enlightenment, hate the term enlightenment. I love, for example, a term I'm going to give you, something that's called a Satori experience, which is a moment of enlightenment, but I hate the term Satori experience. Why is that? Well, first of all, the study of enlightenment is this idea of letting go of your ego, your self-image, to an extent. You could kind of put it in different ways. Well, when it's called enlightenment, I'm enlightened. I'm very enlightened. And you know who's not enlightened? You. I'm enlightened, you're not. And right now I'm having a Satori experience. You're having a consumer culture experience. I am having a Satori experience. The whole phrasing of it is loaded to basically move you away from enlightenment. If you think about it, it's actually pushing you out of spiritual growth. Most people don't even have a real concept of what it is. But regardless, I've had those experiences called Satori experiences where your ego just cracks and you can't even really think. It's like you're just in the zone, you're completely at peace, you're aware, you're not having thought, and basically thinking just kind of goes away, and it's hard to even think, and you have this awareness of how ridiculous most of the hamster box that you're in is, and you realize there's a larger truth. From that frame of mind, the chances of getting me to buy anything other than some rags to live in are pretty low. But I don't live in a Satori experience most of the time. I'm like all of you. I live in a normal experience. And for that reason, I have 150 pairs of shoes. And I have like 70, 80 jackets. And part of that is because of the fact that I'm also social media influencer. I like my shots to look different. I feel like it gives variety. It gives them different color palette, different variety, so on and so forth. I'll probably change my shirt when I'm doing seminars, right? Just to make it look a little different. I love that. But that being said, half the reason that I buy that is because of to make it look good, and the other half is because I'm in my ego. So what you'll find is that society itself is pushing you into a trance. Take my children. They play video games. The video game is you against the bad guys. It's you have to win. You win, somebody else loses. Your value is compared to other people's. There's a reality where this is true. It's not wrong. Anybody that's like, there is no reality where you're compared to, it's like, just shut up, stop. It's so tired. It's so condescending and just self-important. Like, I get it and you don't. And that to me is the opposite of spiritual growth, this opposite of enlightenment. But there's also a part where I would look at my kid Dylan, and I'm looking at him playing, the Spider-Man game on PS4, and he's shooting a bunch of people, and he's being put into this trance. He's being put in that trance that will make him a good consumer someday. We don't realize what kind of trance we're in. Here's a weird thing, too, about social conditioning. I don't know what it is, but honestly, the only show that I really like at this point is Entourage. Have you guys ever seen Entourage? Yeah. HBO. And the reason why is because they're winning. In fact, the only season of Entourage I didn't really like was season 7, because Vinny Chase goes on drugs, and I'm like, I don't need to see more of this crap. I just want to watch winning. I like seeing people winning. Do you know, when I see, this is like kind of personal, I'll see people winning, I start crying. I'm so happy. I just like seeing people win. I don't feel it takes anything away from me seeing other people winning. Part of why I built RSD as a team and took all the money that I got from it and kept pumping it back in other instructors and reinvesting it was literally because I just want to see other people win. I want to see you guys win. I love that. I resonate with that. It's really hard. I like watching TV sometimes. Sometimes at the end of the day, I want to watch some TV. I can't find any TV to watch. It's all this violence, and all the best shows that are beautifully produced and acted are so violent, right? Game of Thrones, probably best produced show on television in my opinion. It's an amazing show, but I feel sick when I watch it. I'll still watch it. I'm so excited for the last season. Who's gonna win the Game of Thrones or whatever, right? Is it gonna be Khaleesi? Who's it gonna be, right? But the thing is, it's incredibly violent. When you guys watch Game of Thrones, do you feel feelings of enlightenment and spirituality when you watch it? What do you feel? Incredibly low vibration show. It's almost like this guy George R. R. Martin is it's like Revenge of the Nerds, right? He's like, I'm gonna make the best produced, best written show and make you all suffer. Look at the red wedding. Oh, look at them bleed. It's like, whoa, dude, chill. And literally, if I had a twin, I would try to produce TV with just people winning and having fun. But because I can't produce that show, because I don't have time, I got all this other stuff I gotta do, instead what I do is I just try to make you win in real life. But these are paradigms that other people don't realize they're in. So much of your mindset is you in this competitively oriented trance where it's you against the world, and here's where it gets really weird. Because you're in that trance of you against the world, you want to know what else it does? It makes it where you create your own problems. You actually add resistance, and this is, again, getting a little esoteric, you're blocking yourself off from the flow. So, as an example, I could do public speaking with nothing prepared, and it literally just comes to me. Public speaking is the easiest thing for me in the world, but that's not because of some specific thing that I did. It's because I stopped making it hard. A lot of the time I'll see people get very, very well prepared, and what's happening is they're making it actually hard. Here's what's funny too. I think all of you in this room underestimate your own creativity in a very profound way. You really underestimate your own creativity. Here's why I would say that too. How many of you in this room have some of the most creative, over-the-top creative dreams, negative or positive, could be a nightmare too, but creative, that it is like when you pause and think about it, you audit yourself, you're like, man, my brain is capable of incredible creativity. Who here has that feeling? Crazy, right? How creative your brain can be. I've had dreams that even movies like Avatar by James Cameron, it holds nothing compared to some of the crazy dreams I've had. And that's not even that uncommon. Some are more creative than others. Some is just kind of mundane and me kind of walking around and, now I'm this guy, now I'm this other guy. I'm like changing characters and vantage points and stuff. But other times I've had dreams of like giant castles and like huge landscapes of mountains with like the craziest colors, like things that you couldn't even design. And like just different profound things that are happening within those dreams that are just really, really crazy. Well, guess what? Your brain, when you do that, and you'd have your own version of that, your brain has the capacity to do that. That's the degree to which your brain has the capacity to be creative when you let go of resistance. And yet most guys, when it comes to dating, their biggest problem is not knowing what to say. Two biggest problems for guys, insecurities and not knowing what to say. It's insane. So a very, very big part of even what I've done is learn to drop that resistance. A lot of the way that I would learn about, say, social skills is getting rid of resistance. It's just making it easier. It's just getting out of my own way. So much of what I do is non-resistance combined with proactivity. Everywhere I look, I see people derping. It's a scourge on society. Just the utter need of human beings. Our biggest curse is the simple fact that we all are trying to do as least as possible. We all want to stay in this kind of weird derp spot. It's the craziest thing. I see it all the time. You gotta be ruthless with yourself on that stuff. You gotta be on top of it. You've gotta get it where you actually gain energy when you work. One of the things that people get shocked about if they're working with me is that I appear to be gaining energy as I'm exerting myself. Weird, right? I'm gaining energy as I exert myself. That's a very different paradigm than what most people have. I get so much energy that if I'm sitting around, I don't know what to do with it. I start shaking. I need to do something with it. I need to exert it. Okay? It's also why I have a high sex drive, to be honest. I need to, my last girlfriend I broke up with, it's like she only wanted to have sex like 5 days a week. I couldn't deal with it. I had to get out. And she's a great girl. It's literally, it's because I can't handle that. It's like I'm just gonna be like sitting in the corner just going crazy. So it's like working with somebody that doesn't want to work. I'm like, we gotta work, man, let's go. So, and I feel relaxed when I work too. I feel relaxed under pressure, and the higher the pressure gets, the more relaxed that I feel. The higher the pressure there is, everything slows down and becomes relaxing and easy. Whereas when there's no pressure, I just feel tense. I'm like, why aren't we doing anything? We're dying. We're getting older. We're dying. Why are we sitting here? Now, at that point, if I want to do something like, say, meditation, I'll get really present. It's pretty trippy. And then if I'm going to stop, then I'm really going to stop. You know what I'm saying? I'm really going to stop. But that's generally, and then I'm going to really get present and take a real relaxation, which is a big reason I think why I don't get sick. I'm like, oh, I'm tired right now. My body needs a break. I take a real break. Remember we talked about that yesterday? Take a real break. I don't think most people know how to work, and I think they lose energy from working, not gain energy, which is super weird. Talk about societal conditioning, to think that working is bad and that you lose energy from working. Can't wait till Friday. And then in addition to that, as they're losing energy from working, I think they also get more stress from relaxing. The average person gets left alone with their thoughts for a couple minutes, man, they're in trouble. They're in so much trouble. There's so many inner demons going on. They have no clue how to release or how to get present to. So I guess what I'm saying here is never underestimate your own potential. Don't underestimate your own capacity. Don't underestimate the paradigms with which you could begin to grow and transform. You have so much untapped potential, it's unbelievable. And really that's what I kind of view that as my job, to help you to excavate that untapped potential. That's the purpose of self-development. It's the purpose of excavating your true self. What you're capable of, outside of this weird hamster cage that you've been put into to become a corporate battery. Who are you? What are you? And by the way, here's a tip. Part of why I would even grow a beard is to remind myself, we come from somewhere else. Okay? See those little things? You know the little teeth? Right there? You're not sharp. Feel your little sharp teeth. What do you think that is? What do you think that is? Okay? The wolf teeth. What do you think that is? What do you think that means? That's there. Okay? What does that mean that that's there? Okay? What does it mean you have dreams, that your dreams are that creative? What does that mean? Okay? But everything you're going to be encountering in modern social conditioning is meant to take you away from that. Who here's ever even seen a dead body? Good. Because it means you know it's going to end. So you're not going to be as likely to be identified with your body. When you're as identified with the body, then what begins to happen, first of all, you're real hella insecure. But in addition to that, it means that you're a better target for consumer culture because you believe you'll live forever. You'll typically see commonalities in people that are very negative and very heavy and deal with a lot of ego. they'll often, if you ask them, are you aware you're gonna die someday? I've seen it, it's a common thread. They'll often say, I think modern medical technology is gonna come out, I'm gonna like live forever somehow. And it's funny they think that, but here's why. I mean, it's really cool to be positive and all, I love that, great. But I don't think it's coming from that kind of place. The place that I think that's coming from is simple. They can't rationalize their all be happy when, all get present to the moment when state of consciousness, realizing that it's gonna end. And they're attached to the body and to the ego, so they can't realize it's gonna end. Even most modern spiritual stuff that you'll study is really based on continuity and a deep, deep fear of merging into the whole and losing that form-based identity that you have. And that's a funny one to think about too, because when people think about going to, say, heaven, you're gonna go to heaven someday, let me ask you a question. What percentage of your thoughts are basically, I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm aroused, I need to go to the bathroom, I'm grumpy, I'm tired, I have energy, et cetera, basically bodily functions. What percentage of your thoughts would be that? From there, what percentage of your thoughts are social conditioning, which is basically ideas that other people put into your head that you probably haven't even checked? It's basically, it's like you go to a Lakers game and everybody's going, Boston sucks, Boston. It's like, who put that there? Do you think that you, as the frumpy person in the stands, has the right to tell Kevin Garnett that he sucks? Really? That's cute. I think it's cool to do it for fun as a joke or to be part of city pride and stuff. It can be fun, but I think a lot of people just say it because it's programmed in their head. I mean, when you talk about a lot of these political problems that you're seeing with all this division, I don't care what somebody's political belief is. In fact, I love people of all political spectrum, but I'll tell you this, if they can't tell me what the other side thinks, their view has no credibility to me at all. Okay, if you're anti this, okay, well then tell me why the people that are for it have that opinion. Because they're bad, because they're evil. They're evil. Why does someone on the left think this? They're a communist. Why does somebody on the right think this? I'm not even gonna say the words, they'll call them. Right? So the point is, right, rather than actually understanding the argument, at least understand, I don't care what position you're from, but understand the argument. Because if you don't understand the argument, what does that mean? That means that you're a zombie being run by social conditioning and just identifying with a tribe. And what is one of the sickest, most disgusting aspects of human beings' natural programming? What is it? Tribalism is what has actually created most of the person-on-person murder. And what is the amount of murder that we've had? Hundreds and hundreds of millions, maybe even in the billions of human-on-human murder. And you hear about that, and the numbers are so overwhelming, you can't even process it. How would you feel if you're one of those people? How would you feel to be one of those faceless statistics to get murdered by another person? Because there's so much dark, negative, nasty energy in them, so much ego that they feel separated from you and have to destroy you. Pause and think about that for a minute. So let that sink in and our natural way of being, okay? So just think about some of these things and the state of society in which you find yourself. And then what I would ask yourself, and this is a final thought, and then we're gonna go into some practical stuff in a minute, but I would ask you this. What is this? Just say that with me. What is this? What are you doing here? What are you doing here? Like, what do you really, and when I talk to people, you know what I think most of the time? I'm like, what do you really think this is? Because when they speak, they clearly don't know where they are. They don't know who they are. They don't know why certain things are happening. And that would range in social conditioning of everything from just the way your mind is functioning, just the autopilots that your mind goes on to, the things that your reticular activation system tend to activate. You have a certain type of energy and you call it negative energy, low vibration energy, whatever you want. How is that tweaking your reticular activation system to focus on certain things? Look then at beliefs that you have, different beliefs that you have, and how your RAS is seeking things out to reinforce those beliefs. Look at paradigms that you have. You ever read books like Spiral Dynamics? Anybody ever read that? Look at books like Spiral Dynamics. Discover some of these paradigms. You ever read Power versus Force by David R. Hawkins? Levels of Energy by Frederick Dodson. Some of these are wacky books. They're off the wall. They have different beliefs that you don't necessarily have to adopt. But have a look at those and take them into consideration. The idea of growth through paradigms that you have, upgrading the overarching software of the mind. The average person's software is so far removed from that which would benefit them or serve them, but more importantly, that which would be authentic. See, to me, I think the thing you should value more than anything is having an authentic life. It's not just a leisurely life. Most of your life, be honest, do an audit. Do an audit. As much as you're waiting for all these great things to happen in your life, how much of your life is even the type of leisurely pleasure that you've been sold is the ideal? What percent? And let's break that down. What percentage would you say is you taking a crap? What percentage is you taking a piss? What percentage is you eating, often food that's not that great? What percentage of your life is you commuting to work? What percentage of your life is you dealing with minutia that you don't really care about? What percentage of your life is spent gossiping or complaining? What percentage of your life is spent in your head trying to think of different things you're frustrated about, waiting to be happy when? What percentage is that? And what percentage are you ever really relaxed? What percentage are you ever really having fun? Here's another one for productivity for you. Here's a heck of a mind-bending truth. If you work, you hear these people talking about working 16 hours a day, right? If you're even working 8, a solid 8, and in this day and age, if you said I work 40 hours a week, they'd view that as not that much. How many people are working a real 40 hours a week? Show me a man or woman working a real 40 hours a week, like a real 8 hours a day. Didn't go to work, sit at the water cooler, look at the internet, distract themselves, take little texts. If you're telling me that you really locked in, uninterrupted, and worked 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, I will view you with deep, deep respect. Because very few people I'll view you with deep respect anyway, but I'll really respect your hustle. Because very few people could even do that. In fact, what they'll often do is they'll work an 80-hour week, and half the time they're distracted, looping on things that are ineffective. They're not effective. Look, oftentimes I am working 13 hours a day, 16 hours a day, but unlike a lot of people on the internet, I don't brag about that. I'm embarrassed of that. I'm embarrassed about that. It means I screwed up, and I make mistakes all the time. Sometimes I've got to miss sleep. Guys brag about missing sleep. I can go 4 or 5 days without sleep if I have to. And you know what? That means I screwed up. I've had to do that during product launches where we had to borrow money to do a video recording back when I was young, and we had 100 grand on the line. If I didn't get this thing out and pay it back, my life was over as far as how I knew it. I've had those moments. And you know what? Guys would brag about that. I think that's embarrassing that I let it get to that point. You know what I'd be proud of? I would be proud to say I work a real 40 hours a week, and then the other 8 hours, I just mess around and have a ball. To me, that's something very powerful. But sometimes when you're younger, you need to work those extra hours. Why? Because of the fact that you don't know how to work a real 8 hours. And because of that, you've got to work more hours. You just don't have a choice. You don't even have the focus to do that. When I look at somebody in the eye, I can see the focus they have just by looking in the pupil. I can see their state of consciousness pretty easily. I can probably guess what types of thoughts they're having. I can guess what they're focused on. I can guess how alert they are. I know it the second I look at you. I know what kind of negative, little nasty, selfish thoughts you're having and little negative, nasty little things you're probably going to do. And I can tell that just by studying it. But you want to know something? It's not just about me being concerned about you. When I see that, you know the more important thing I think about? If I look you in the eye and I see derping, I think, where's my derping? If I see negativity, I think, where's my negativity? If I see chaos, I think, where's my chaos? I continually look at people, and rather than looking down on them, I recognize their flaws in myself. Yes, study incredible, successful people. Definitely do it, okay? You guys want to learn how to do public speaking? You're in the right place. You guys want to learn how to do social skills, social dynamics? You're definitely in the right place. Great. But you know what? You can also study failure. You could see me doing some cool stuff, right? Great. But you should also be able to see the failure and limitation. I can look at somebody, I can say, this is what they're doing great, and here's problems they're having. And guess what? Everybody's got them. Everybody's got them. In fact, the higher up they go, the more stupid little problems they probably have. And they're going to hit walls. And you're going to hit walls as you move up. And at each level, that's gonna change, but here's what's cool about it. You're thinking that your life is driven towards this magical reality where everybody's gonna approve of you, and everybody's gonna give you the blessing that you want, and you're gonna make the money you want, and you're gonna have the fun you want, you're gonna have the intimate dating life that you want, or whatever it is. Maybe you have the body you want. Here's what's funny. The average guy, if you said to him, you know, you could hook up with any girl that you want, and as a deal, in exchange for that deal, you have to be happy the rest of your life. Most guys would say, I could completely be happy. But most girls, if they wanted to hook up with 20 guys a day, could do that. Does that make them automatically happy? It proves the illusion of the mind. I've had the opportunity to hang out with and live with very, very rich people. People with more money than maybe everybody in this room combined is ever gonna make. Do you think they looked any happier than the average person? They usually look more miserable. But by the way, that's a great excuse for a poor person not to work. Well, I don't want to be miserable, so I'm going to be lazy. Great. So what you will understand as life goes on is that you're here to experience certain problems and to work through them. You can be a victim, or you can grow. You can be in protection or move into growth. And there's a lot of these very, very powerful paradigms that you can recognize in people and begin to recognize in yourself. And that to me is what self-development's about. It's about waking up and realizing what you're doing here, what this place is, who you are behind the thoughts, the social conditioning, the biological drives, the ego. What are you beyond that? What are you beyond? What's beyond that? And what are you doing here? What is all this? What conditioning has been placed upon you? What biological influences has been placed upon your thoughts? What is this little thing called an ego doing to you? And how can you move towards an authentic life? That to me is where self-development comes in and is one of the most powerful things that you can ever learn. Okay? So do you guys remember I said I'm gonna get into teaching self-development? Does that sound like a cool topic to spend a couple years on? Yeah. Thank you. We're gonna do some great stuff, okay? We're gonna do some great stuff in self-development that's gonna blow your mind. We're gonna go way past anything related with social skills, but we're gonna integrate social skills because the truth is, social skills is intertwined in this. The way that you're showing up is a reflection of all of this, and I have so much to teach on. It's gonna be a beautiful thing.